specific mission purposes. And then there's going to be some more general capabilities that we need to take a look at and make sure that we're operationalizing as we, and especially I take this as part of the zero trust journey as well. Again, most of what we're doing, we can leverage those things very effectively to achieve greater outcomes. And again, reduce the, organizations are not going to grow. So we do need to unburden some of our defenders from, chopping wood and really apply them to taking a look at some of the more sophisticated things we need them to be doing.
I'll give you the CIO perspective on this. So a couple things, right? I think the biggest part kind of last couple of months has been, we put some guidance out to the Army on LLMs and Gen AI, and it was really, we got great feedback on it, but it was like, you just told commanders to go do. I said, yes, that's exactly what we did, right? We opened the aperture up and said, let's run, but not with scissors, but let's run, and started opening the environment up in cloud especially to let commanders and let folks with really good use cases come in and start doing stuff. And with a purpose, right? And the purpose not being like, let's do cool AI stuff, like, let's figure out the business model here. Because I think that's the biggest piece we're finding is we don't have that business model quite figured out. So how do we get an environment open with good commander use cases where we have a small company that comes in and does a kind of hold your hand approach. We have a large integrator who's working on an enterprise POR, who's doing something that's considerably more complex. We have native cloud services that do AI work, and we have soldiers on it, and we've got PhD folks on it, and really start experimenting against those use cases to figure out a couple of things, right? One, how we want to deal with the data, because that we found out very quickly that that's a thing, right? Can't have 10 people pull every Army piece of doctrine and build their own RAG against it. Not a good idea. So what does that look like? So a lot of work into kind of shaping the guidance around that, because one, we have to, and two, we can't afford not to. And then the other piece is to kind of go back to industry and say, your cost model really doesn't work, right? We got folks charging by prompt. We got folks charging by tokens. Then we have folks that are charging as a service. And I'm like, the Army can't buy that way. So how are we working really with industry to say, hey, we need a more standardized approach to this? We're really right now very at the foundational level, especially for those services that can be democratized out to the workforce, right? It really is about building, one, the digital foundation that we can secure around. That's number one. The digital foundation that we can get kind of these pockets of data by functionals in a good place. And then that last piece is a viable, sustainable business model, which I think we have a lot of work to do on that. So I call us very much in the infancy stage of how we're going to operationalize some of this technology.
Okay. All right. Well, unfortunately, that is all the time we have. Please join me in thanking our panelists as well as our sponsor, Lockheed Martin. Thank you for joining us.
Yikes.
I feel like we could sit here for another hour.
Oh.